Hey, what's going on, guys? It's FPL Yusuf here, and welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel. Today, I'm going to be going over my Game Week 28 final team selection ahead of this weekend's deadline. We're going to cover what my current team is looking like, any transfers that I might make. We're going to go over some key questions around this game weeks about certain players being fit, certain players being available, and we'll also take a look at some clean sheet odds. And we'll talk a little bit just about the assistant manager chips as well. So I hope you guys do enjoy this video. If you do, don't forget to drop a thumbs up and subscribe down below. But without further ado, let's just jump straight into it. Okay, welcome back, guys. Thank you so much for being here with me today on my YouTube channel for another video. So we're going to start off this video today with some key questions around this game week, but they're also going to have impacts for game week 29 as well. So as we all know, there is a blank in 29, and I'm going to try and get these questions to sort of match up. So the transfers you make this week will hopefully have a positive impact for you in game week 29. So we'll start off first when we're going to just generalize over some players who are out. Should we be replacing them? Should we be benching them? So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So we'll start off first with the little group that I think a lot of people are going to be invested and owned in. First up is Matheus Cunha. Now, obviously, if you do own him, it's very unfortunate. Obviously, he did get the red card against Bournemouth in the FA Cup. So obviously, he's now suspended for 3 games. Could be, with a view of a longer ban, if the FA come back with something retrospectively. But at the time of recording this video, he is only banned for 3 games. But those are the games that you wanted him for. Obviously, Wolves are playing Everton this week. They've got Southampton in 29. They've got Ipswich just after 30. So these are the sort of games that you wanted him available for. And, because of the red card, he's going to miss a significant chunk of those games. So it's definitely time. If you've got him, you just have to put it down to it was just a very unfortunate transfer, but it's time to move him on. The hard part is looking for replacements, because there are a lot of strikers who currently you'll either own or are just not going to be available for 28 and 29. So yeah, if you do have him, I would start to be looking elsewhere. I'm going to cover all the alternatives for them after I go through the rest of the players, because obviously the strikers are all being moved to other strikers. So the next up on the list is going to be Jean-Philippe Mateta. Now, he, again, I think you got to feel very unlucky if you owned him, because he was on a fantastic run. Was probably expected to play this game, and this was the game you wanted to keep him for Ipswich if you were looking to move him out before 29. Unfortunately, obviously, he had the very bad sort of tackle that happened to him in the Millwall game, which has left him with stitches. So he is definitely out of this game. Glasner has confirmed. So he's another one that you have to look to move on from, because obviously, if you're not free hitting game week 29, he is not going to play 28. He's not going to play 29, and then obviously, most people have probably got a wild card left, which you could just bring him back in from 30 anyway. So I think if you've got Mateta, same as Cunha, he's someone you probably want to get rid of over the next 2 game week. Now the question is, who do you go to? Who do you move to? So obviously Haaland is the big one. I think a lot of people are still probably going to be tied up money in Cole Palmer, and you're not going to get rid of Cole Palmer before Leicester at home. So I think Haaland, unless somehow you've got multi-millions in the bank, I just don't think Haaland's going to be viable this week. Next week it's a different story, because I think a lot of people will probably be more inclined to get rid of Cole Palmer after he's had his good fixture run. But for this week, I think Haaland might be a bit of a stretch. Most of us probably already own Chris Wood, Alexander Isak, so it's probably not worth talking about them. If you don't own them, that is a nice route for you. But if you do own them, then obviously that's 2 out of the 3 spots taken up. So trying to find a replacement for Cunha, for Mateta, is actually quite difficult. You've got Evan Nilsson at Bournemouth, who looks like he's back now. Maybe you could take an outside gamble on Marmoush. Vista is obviously still there. Haven't got the greatest fixtures, Brentford coming up, but I think Brentford have proven this season that they can score against opposition, regardless of who they are. The truth be told is there's really not that many options to look for. Strand Larson is probably maybe the last one that you look at, but then obviously without Cunha being on Wolves, who provides the creativity there? So it is a really tricky one this week. I think the one thing you've got to remember is that if you're not free hit in 29, you want to get someone in who's playing both 28 and 29 just to try and optimize those fixtures. So there's just a few options there, but I think if you own the likes of Cunha, if you own the likes of Mateta, then it's definitely time to sort of offload and get rid of them. Now, another striker and another forward who I think is probably time to get rid of is Cody Gakpo. Now, I've done him separately because I've just actually come back of watching Arne Slott's press conference, and he did say to us that Gakpo didn't train yesterday. He's a late call. It's sort of touch and go, but if I'm being honest with you, I don't think he's going to start. Liverpool got training later on this afternoon, so we'll have to keep an eye on Twitter about team training pictures to see if he's in there. But the fact he didn't train yesterday doesn't really fill me with a great load of confidence. So I myself am in this predicament where I've got Cody Gakpo. Obviously, Southampton is a fantastic game. I don't think we're going to get any team leaks before that anyway, because obviously they kick off at 3, but Man City are playing Nottingham Forest at 12:30, so that the game week deadline will already be underway. So yeah, I think I'm probably in the incline at the start of the week. I was definitely going to hold Gakpo. I thought he might be back by then, but even if not, it's just Southampton is such a fantastic fixture on paper, and I wanted to roll the transfer anyway. But now after hearing Arne Slot's conference and what he spoke about Cody Gakpo, I'm a little bit more put off by him, and I am actually looking to make a move away from Gakpo myself. Okay, so this is going to be a new section that I'm going to start adding to my final team selection videos, and all these graphics that you see on screen now are courtesy from a guy called Rob T FPL. So link his Twitter down below in the description, because his graphics are just so good. He's going to give us, it gives us an overall percentage on clean sheet odds, on percentage on predicted goals scored. It's just such a fantastic little graphic, which I think every week, I think it's just beneficial that we go through just to take a look at what each game's like. It'll only be a short segment. Feel free to drop him a follow on Twitter. I'll leave the link in the description down below, because he does provide some fantastic FPL content down there. Okay, first up is Man City and Nottingham Forest. So we won't go through all the games, but we're going to just pick out some of the key ones where maybe we have a lot of assets owned. So both of them are predicted to score. Man City just a little bit higher in clean sheet percentage, obviously with 27%. I think it'll be a close one. I do think that Nottingham Forest probably will sit in a little bit more deeper, which means City probably will have more of the ball. Now, this does beg a question: is the likes of Marmoush, if you still own Haaland, obviously, is there options, or is there ability for them to score in these sort of games? Obviously, we saw Arsenal last week play against Forest, and Forest did sit in quite deep, made it very difficult for Arsenal to break them down. I do expect it to be pretty much the same thing. I think if you've got, sort of Forest attackers, in Elanga or Chris Wood, you're probably hoping that they're going to get a goal on the counter-attack, whereas Man City assets are probably going to dominate the ball, but obviously Nottingham Forest are a very good defence at home. So, yeah, I think that one could definitely be a close game. I think, obviously the predictions are that both teams will score, which I do think actually on the one hand, I think could happen. I just think that, as we speak in the previous section, if you are looking for a replacement and you're looking for maybe a little bit of a gamble, maybe Marmoush isn't so much of a bad option for this game. He provides something different, movement in behind. Maybe that will be the key to Man City unlocking this Nottingham Forest defence. Okay, as we go a little bit further down, we can see Chelsea massive favourites against Leicester. Obviously, they're predicting these to score 3 goals. Now, this does spark a little bit of a debate about the Salah versus Palmer captaincy. Now, last week it was a debate because obviously, Salah had a much harder game against Newcastle. This week, Liverpool playing Southampton. But we're going to get onto that when we cover Liverpool's game, about maybe why Salah isn't the most obvious captain. I personally am going to put my captaincy on him, I think. But maybe there's some room to have a conversation about this. So obviously Chelsea predicted to score nearly 3 goals. Palmer not playing with the greatest confidence at the moment. I think that's evident from last week. He had a couple of chances which, if that was earlier in the season, he would have absolutely buried. And those of us like myself who actually captained him probably would have been absolutely laughing, because it's like, that's what we wanted. Things happen, things change very quickly. All it takes is, a goal and an assist. Palmer picks up a little bit of confidence. He pushes himself into bonus points, and now that goes from a potential, quite low scoring game to now a mega haul. And, we all know he has the potential to turn up in these sort of games, to bag the sort of 15 to 20 point mark from specific teams. And usually against newly promoted sides, he actually does fare quite well. So I think it's one to keep an eye on. I think right now, in terms of percentage on captaincy, it's probably a 70-30 split in my mind in favour of Mo Salah, but we're going to come on to Liverpool in a second. Arsenal against Manchester United, obviously Arsenal probably the favourites, despite the fact it's away from home. As you can see, they've got a very high clean sheet percentage on. So for those of you who have Gabriel, myself had Timber, some of you may still have David Raya, William Saliba, I think definitely play the Arsenal assets. Manchester United aren't attacking well. They're not predicted to score over 1 goal in this game, whereas Arsenal are. So I think if you're backing someone on this team, or maybe you've got like a little bit of a benching headache because you've got Mateta, or because you've got, Isak, which maybe we're not 100% sure on. Maybe you've got Cunha, who you're looking for a replacement, but you don't really want to take a minus this week, or maybe you're going to wait till next week for Haaland. Then I definitely think starting an Arsenal defender isn't actually the worst thing in the world. They're obviously predicted 42% clean sheet odds, which is actually very, very good. There's not many teams who are going to be higher than them this week. So yeah, I think for me, I wouldn't be too stressed about playing your Arsenal assets. If you have them, I think there's a very high chance that they do keep a clean sheet. And obviously with the way they come off the back of the PSV game, they're going to be with confidence and hopefully go and score some more goals there. And now the big one, this is the Liverpool versus Southampton. They're the highest odds on goals scored. They're the highest odds on clean sheets kept. So let's talk about it. So like I said, I don't know if Salah is just as clear-cut as maybe what is being made out. And there's a couple of reasons why. The first one is Liverpool should be able to put out a team without having their big hitters that are going to beat the Southampton side. If you take Salah out and put Harvey Elliott on that right-hand side, they should still be winning this game comfortably. Now, they are predicted to score nearly 3.5 goals, pushing towards 4 goals, which obviously, for number-wise, Salah's the one you want to captain because they're going to be goals in this game. My only worry is that if Liverpool go up 2-3-0 very early on, there could be and I think probably will be a realistic opportunity that Salah is going to get pulled off as they have the PSG game next week. And that they're only up 1-0. Very fortunate to be up in that game, but I think that would probably be more on their minds than trying to get past Southampton, and they have a 13-point lead in the Premier League. So maybe there is some food for thought. Obviously, Salah's going to be fast on that day. Whether you take that into account or not, that's up to you. It's just some information I want to provide to you guys. But yeah, I think for me, like I said, Salah will definitely be my captain. I think Palmer, it is a 70-30 split in favour of Mo Salah. But I think that if you're going with Liverpool assets this week, especially if you own the likes of Trent, Konate, I think you have to be prepared that there could be some rotation. Obviously, the PSG game is more of a priority for Liverpool, and they, regardless, like I said, whatever team they do put out, they should be able to get past Southampton anyway. So yeah, if you got Liverpool assets, I wouldn't get rid of them unless it was Cody Gakpo, which we spoke about earlier. Maybe it's time for him to move on. But if you've got anyone else, keep them, play them, and just keep your fingers crossed that they actually do start the game. Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick little segment around assistant manager, just for those of you who maybe have it active, maybe you're looking to activate it. If you haven't played it yet, I probably wouldn't advise using it this week. I would say save it till after game week 30 when the doubles come around. But if you have got it active, you need another week. So we're going to quickly just go through this table here. Again, that's from Rob TFPL on Twitter. So we're going to take a look at the sort of top ones. If I do look down, forgive me, I'm just looking at the screen. So first up is actually Ange Postecoglou, which I find surprising as he's about to play Bournemouth. He's actually predicted a 40% win ratio, which to me, it seems a little bit high. Now, obviously, if Ange does win this game and Tottenham do win the game, the table bonus is going to be massive for them. I don't know if I would personally feel comfortable risking table bonus on Tottenham Hotspur of all teams. They're just too inconsistent. Obviously, they lost to AZ Alkmaar last night, which is a team that they probably should have won. We're not sure if Romero and Van der Ven are going to be back. Solanke went off the game injured. So I think there's too many problems there. And I think that they are just too high a risk against a very, very good Bournemouth side. I just wouldn't go there with my assistant manager chip if I was playing it. I'd probably look to the two below in Arne Slot and Enzo Maresca. Obviously, both playing against newly promoted sides. Both are predicted, nearly 10 points, which, is kind of what you'd expect them to do. They're both above 80% in terms of win percentage. I think for me personally, there are obviously other managers that you could look to table bonus. Graham Potter might be one of them against Newcastle. Maybe you could make an outside shout for Ruben Amorim because Man United usually do turn up against Arsenal. But for me personally, if I was looking to sort of, if I've got my chip active this week, I'd probably want to put it on either Maresca or Slot. Probably going to be Arne Slot if I had to pick one, just because Liverpool predicted the more goals. They've got a higher chance of getting a clean sheet. And I just do think that they're going to be way too much for Southampton to handle, even if they have a rotated or sort of chop and change squad. I just think that Slot is the right guy this week for your assistant manager. Okay, so this is what my current team is looking like now for game week 28. We'll start off in goal. We've got Jordan Pickford playing against Wolves. Obviously, in defence, I've got Ray and Ait-Nouri, so them two will be playing against each other. The best thing I can hope for in this is a 0-0. That would be like my ideal thing. I don't own Cunha anymore, so for me, a 0-0 would be absolutely wonderful. I've got Dean Huijsen in defence against Tottenham. Again, as I spoke about in the previous section, I don't really know what sort of Tottenham to expect. You never really do. I think Bournemouth would just be too much for them. I think they're too good defensively. I think they're too good going forward, so I'm not worried about having him there at all. I think that there is actually a decent chance that they keep a clean sheet against Spurs. Yuri and Timber wraps up the defence against Manchester United. I spoke about them as well earlier on. Obviously, Arsenal were the bigger favourites to come into this game. The higher clean sheet, or they're above 40% as well, which is always a good sign when you're looking for defenders. So that is my backline currently. Pickford in goal, Ait-Nouri, Timber and Dean Huijsen. Then we come on to the midfield. It's pretty much going to be an unchanged midfield. Salah, Palmer, obviously both of them two battling out for captain. At the time of recording this video, it is on Salah. I'm not saying that it couldn't move away. If we come out and hear that Salah may be brought off, if Liverpool are winning early, if, Salah doesn't start and we find out a leak, which I don't think will happen because obviously he's chasing his own records. So he's definitely going to want to play. But yeah, Salah, Palmer and Burma against Aston Villa. Not an easy fixture, not a hard fixture. It's probably one of them ones in between. Villa haven't really looked that amazing to me in the league this season. So maybe there is an opportunity there for Brian and Burma to get at them. And obviously Justin Kluivert rounds off the team against Tottenham. And then, of course, up front, we've got the three of Chris Wood, Alexander Isak, and Cody Gakpo. Wood and Isak will definitely be there. Gakpo is the one that I'm looking at. Now, I didn't really want to make a transfer this week. I wanted to roll and take two into game week 29. However, I'm not feeling that confident on Cody Gakpo starting. Like I said, I will have to wait and see towards the back end of the afternoon today. Of the time we record this, it's currently Friday afternoon, but we're not at Liverpool's training yet, so we don't know whether or not he's trained today. But obviously, from hearing from Slot's comments in his press conference that he didn't train yesterday, it doesn't really fill me with a lot of joy that they have got a 3 p.m. kickoff on Saturday. So I probably am going to end up moving him out. To who? I'm not sure. Marmoush right now is probably the only one that I could afford that is a differential that I like and has a game in 29 as well. But obviously moving Marmoush in does block the slot for Haaland next week, which means that either Chris Wood or probably Alexander Isak, as he doesn't play, would have to move for Haaland. So I'm not really too sure how I feel about doing that. I'm going to have to wait and see. We'll have to just sort of trying to assess what the best move is here. But at the time of recording, this is what my current team looks like. Mo Salah has got the captaincy, and fingers crossed this team can bring us some good points this week. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, please don't forget to drop a thumbs up and subscribe down below. Guys, we're so close to 100 subscribers. We're like 6 away now. So if you guys haven't and you're watching this video for the first time, if you have enjoyed it, don't forget to drop a thumbs up and subscribe down below. It would help me out massively. I will leave a link to my Twitter down below as well in the description, as well as Rob's from all the slides that we've used in this video. Any changes that I do make to my team, obviously I will put up there first, and I will drop a final team selection before the deadline on there as well. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys have a great game week, and I'll catch you guys next time.